excuse me, the video had cut off. However, like I was saying, the same thing that they were preaching, or the same thing that they were saying, and the same scriptures that they were reading were like the same ones that I was talking about that day. Like when I was talking about Sarah, they were saying how you were children of Sarah, daughters of Sarah. And when they were saying, when I had read the different scriptures, when I opened up the book and I'm like, okay, God, what do I need to read today? And he gave me the scriptures of Egypt will have been punished or will be punished. And that was Isaiah 11:11, and they were reading Isaiah 10. So I'm like, it was right over the next page what they were talking about. So it was profound, and it was another confirmation. And I was getting tested and asked different questions, and I realized that right then and there, God was asking me, God was testing me to see if I knew exactly what it is that I have been studying or what it is that I was knowing. So I was just like, wow, that's really crazy. The Lord works in mysterious ways. I'm like, God, I love you so much, but you're very funny sometimes, the way that you just move and make things happen, because I was never even planning to go there. I was just going to go to AT&T and get my phone fixed. But, I end up going there and meeting them and speaking with them and finding out location where they're at. So now I not only have to study the word by myself, I can go and make bread with a couple of like-minded people and, try to, continue to stay on my path. And so, which really blew my mind, because what I said, it blew my mind. I was sitting there. I don't know if you watched all my videos, but I was like, the tribe of Israel kind of recognize, or kind of is similar. It's bringing similarity to me with the tribes, the Indian tribes. So, I was just like, what, when the time is ready, I know that I will get that download, that like code. Sure enough, on the dang screen, they said, sister, what are you? I said, I was like, he was like, you would say black, but you're the tribe of Judah. And they had all 12 tribes and description to what they are now. And I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been looking for. So it says the Judah is the American blacks. Benjamin is the West Indians. Levi is the Haitians. Ephraim is the Puerto Ricans. Manasseh is the Cubans. Simon is the Dominicans. Reuben is the Somalia Indians. Gad is the American Indians. Naphtali is the Argentina and Chile. Zebuluna is Guatemala to Panama. Asher is the Colombia to Aruba. And Ishkar is Mexican Indians. And it says Isaiah 11:11, scattered throughout Africa and abroad. The life of Christ was given to the false image of the Christians. Teach that this image speaks the word of Christ in the Bible. History proves that millions have been killed for not worshiping this image. This began with the Renaissance. Rome and Spain sent such persons as Christopher Columbus, Heron Cortes, Ponce de Leon, American Vespucci, and countless others with armies to kill, enslave, and indoctrinate the so-called Indians and blacks, the Israelites, into Christianity, prophesied in Psalm 83:1-5. Okay, and I'm going to finish reading the other flyers that they gave, but for right now, and I just seen 333, so I'm on the right path with this, and that is my number. But also, I'm going to read when Jacob was about to die, and he wanted to bless Jacob, who God changed his name to Israel. He wanted to bless his sons and tell them what will come of them at the end of days. So Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather, right. And so it says Reuben, the firstborn. Thou art my firstborn and my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou went up into thy father's bed, and thou defiedest thou it in it. He went up to my couch. So in the story in the Bible, in the Genesis, Reuben was God's first son. However, he also tricked him and went up and slept with his wife to have some children. So he defiled God's wife, his father's wife, and he was the firstborn, but he took advantage of his firstborn responsibilities and of his firstborn birthright, right? And so I was taught that the first man was the red man. The Somalian Indians have like a reddish tint, and they were the first ones. And because they took advantage before, because they just laid around and they didn't really listen to God, they were put into the first line of slavery, the first Indians to be pulled from the land and to be put into slavery. So that made a lot of sense with that. And even in the Prince of Egypt, Reuben was like the one. It was like kind of sneaky and trying to get over, trying to just like he was like, Joseph is better than all your sons, even Judah. Like he was starting stuff, right? And he also had like that type of Indian British kind of look as well. So I'm like, this is making so much sense. And then it says, and then he said unstable as water. When you're watching Pocahontas, right, and the Indians, and they had all the red around them and everything like that, she would always sing about, you want us to be like the river, and the river or the water, and it's not, and to just flow with the current, but it's not current, it's not flowing at all. It has no bounds. It just exceeds to where it needs to go. So it said it will not excel. They were also taken down by their predecessors because, they were stuck in their ways, and that was one of, their downfall, being that they were so, the first, so, mighty, but also, lacking because of the ways of which they moved. So, they had Simon and Levi, our brethren, instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou unto their secret, unto their assembly. My honor, be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. Okay. So they said that Simon and Levi are the Haitians and the Dominicans. And they said that their instruments of cruelty are in their inhabitants. So we know that the land of the Haitians, how they were dealt on that land and then that territory, that they were truly, really just, being mistreated, they really, everything that we have, if it's not coming out of Africa, it's coming out of Haiti, and their lands, and they're, fighting against each other and really being brought down to a lower state because of their cruelty and because of their need to kill or to, be so indoctrinated in their idols. It said right here that their secret and their assembly, thy honor, but they are not united, right? So we have a lot of the Haitians and the Dominicans that had came over to America. They're not united as a whole. And when I was learning Haitian voodoo, and I feel like when they said their secret and their assembly, when they're doing these dark magics behind closed doors, the Haitians with their voodoo or voodoo, and the Dominicans with their Santeria, and they both are worshiping the same deities, but just in different forms. And I even learned when I was studying the Haitians in the Haitian voodoo, how the Dominicans are cousins of the Haitians, and they both have the same tongue, the same types of deities, is just translated over to different skin tones and different words and different forms and everything like that. So that made a whole lot of sense. The Simon and the Levi, and they're the ones. The Simon and Levi's are the ones who initiated putting Joseph in the pit. So they dig that pit for conspiring against Joseph and to lie to their father and everything like that. So at the end of their days, they're putting themselves against the wall. They're putting themselves in the pit by continuing to do this dark magic, and by also by killing off each other just for simply money, just for magic, or for their own self-will, their own self-gain. And this stuff is happening right now. And then it said, cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So, they had the Haitian Revolution, and they had all these different things, and their anger was so real. They were fighting against each other, and even fighting against different Romans and everything like that. But because they had so much cruelty in their hearts, they were, they might have won that war, but still the nation is divided. The nation is still divided, and they're scattered across the world now because of it. And then they have the Judah, which is like the longest passage in here, and the Judahs are the blacks, the so-called blacks of America. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Okay, Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is the lion whelp from the prey. Mine son, thou art gone up, and he stooped down into the couch of as his lion, as the old lion who shall rouse him up. The specter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shelah come, and unto him the gathering of the people be. Binding his foe unto the vine, and his ass courted in choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of his grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. So with that, when it was saying how, Judah, or the so-called blacks of America, is God's chosen people, the Lion of Judah, and we know the lion are courageous, but there also can be, they're supposed to be the king of the kingdom, right? But they also can be kind of cowardly and kind of fall down as in prey. And it talks about when they said the lawgiver between their feet, the vines between their feet, I feel like that was saying on the chains, and that we were, given because of us being, not listening to God, but having to be submissive to our predecessors, having to be submissive to the enemy that was came.